Hello everyone, so welcome to video 3. I'm still Tasha van Sail and the video 3 is how to complete the 24-hour recall. So let us go to a 24-hour recall. This is the form that you will be using during your data collection. So when you start with your 24-hour recall, you obviously have a participant number, specific participant number that will go in here. You will receive a field worker number yourself that you will complete over there. The date of the interview, so we are starting on the 14th of Feb with our data collection, and then you have the day of the interview. So which day was that? If you're doing it on a Monday, and then you have your participant's age. If we have, for instance, an elderly, and was it a male or a female? Good. So those are the fields that needs to be completed at the top. These are all fields that need to be captured onto the data sheet, the electronic data sheet as well. So then you would start with your interview, asking what did the participant consume or eat when they woke up in the morning. Sometimes someone would have had a glass of water. And okay, so there's no preparation or brand. And then how much was eaten, how much was consumed. If they say it was 1 cup, you can add that. Or if you have on your cup or you have on your glass that you have in your dietary kit, you identified, for instance, it was 200 milliliters. So make use of your dietary assessment kit to quantify the amount that was eaten, to make sure that it is easier for your coder to complete their work. So also that you have to identify is then the source of the food. So for water, it would be from home. So your source is over here. So you can see for your household, you have 9 categories to choose from. And your source here can be then that it is from the home. And that is the columns that you should complete. So your participant might have had tea, or let's say they had tea, and you have that they had this with milk and sugar, and for example, your tea was rooibos. If you are not sure, or if your participant is not sure about what they have consumed, then you can always ask them while you're on the household, just to bring you the brand name or the packet, or what they did consume. So with your tea, they had the milk, and then also they had sugar. Good. So we are first busy. So we're busy with our first step of the multiple pass. So we are only collecting the list of food that they had. For instance, now if they had cereal, also with milk and sugar. You see, I've already added a brand there, but then you go on. So they had milk and sugar with that as well. So you would like to have a list underneath the food items. You would like to have them underneath each other, as the coder would need to fill in the code over here, and then the grams, and the PC the processed category that is over here, that is also for the coder to complete, and this will be part of the quantifying coding training video. So let's concentrate on completing the 24-hour recall further. So then maybe that is all that they have had for breakfast, or during the time from they woke up and before 9 o'clock. So at mid-morning, you'll ask, did you have anything after that, or in the time after breakfast and lunch? And if they had another cup of tea, and it would be with milk and sugar. So they had milk and sugar added, and maybe they had a rusk with that. All right, so that is mid-morning. Then you go on to lunchtime. So for lunch, they had, for instance, just a sandwich. So, and the sandwich had bread in, let's say it was brown bread, and it had margarine. So you'll ask, okay, so you had a sandwich. Yes, it was a cheese and tomato sandwich, and then you can pack it out. Like, okay, did you add any margarine? Yes, I added margarine. Okay, so, and you had cheese and tomato on there. Did they drink anything with that, or is that all they had? And they, for example, say no, they had some Coke with that. Okay, so that was all for lunchtime. And then for the afternoon, for supper, they said no, they were too busy. They had nothing in between here. So then you can just indicate, for example, none. No, there was nothing there. And then eventually for supper time, they had something to eat. So they say no, they had chicken with rice, and they had some vegetables, and this was carrots and, for example, beans. So now you have to go back through your list. Yes, sorry. And then after that, you can just ask them again that they have anything to drink with their supper. And they say maybe they had some tea afterwards with the milk and sugar. And after supper, they only had some water then. And okay. So now you go back to the beginning of your 24-hour recall. And then that is also where you ask about the 7 forgotten foods, such as your sweets, your alcohol, and biscuits and cookies and so on. And if they have not forgotten anything, then you move on to, okay, you had your tea. Sorry, I completed this now already. And it was rooibos, and how much was that? So they have identified on your cup that it is 250 mils. And the milk, you used your your picture file, for example, to indicate it was a little bit of milk. No, maybe it was little. And from there you could see it was 20 milliliters. And the brand was, for example, say it was a Spar brand, and the milk was low fat. Okay, so your sugar, they say that was white sugar, and they were not sure what sugar it was, so they took it out and they showed you, for instance, it was Ilovo sugar that they purchased, and from that you could identify that it was 2 heaped teaspoons that they consumed. And with the cereal, so the milk, so with the cereal, they identified, you use the oats as an example to show in your bowl how much cereal they had. They had, for instance, cornflakes. So the cereal was cornflakes. And you could identify from your dietary assessment kit that it was 125 moles of cereal. And the milk, they also indicated it was still the low fat milk with your white sugar, and it was still Ilovo, and it was the Spar brand milk that they had, and the milk that they identified was 100 milliliters with the cereal. And then you also identified that they added 2 level teaspoons of sugar. So that was what they did. And that was all done from the home. Tea. So all this was at home. And then they had tea. At the mid-morning point. So you identified again that this was rooibos. And they used the same cup that was 250 moles. Still a little bit of milk, still the low fat milk that is from the Spar. So little, and you identified that as 20 milliliters. Just the Spar. Your sugar, you can also add white, for instance, here. And it was also the Ilovo. And it was the 2 teaspoons again. They had a rusk. It was, I say it was a Pocomo rusk. It was purchased. So it was from the supermarket. And they had 1 rusk. So your coding, just add again because I did that at home. And then, okay. Now we are with the bread that I had for sandwich. And you also indicated, for instance, that that was Albany. And it was 2 slices. It was already sliced. can say, for instance, already sliced. And then the margarine, that they put margarine on both slices. So yes, but there was margarine on both slices. And it was, for instance, canola. And so on both slices, you made use of your picture file and could see it was spread thickly. So on both slices, it was spread thickly, which was identified as 10 grams, or you could have also indicated here that it was thick. But make sure that you definitely write there. So your participant ate cheese, and for instance, you identified it was cheddar cheese, and you have your brand. It was also a Spar brand. And you identified that these were actually, it was processed. It was those slices. And then you also have, 2 times the slices, and they could actually show you the package, and you saw that it was 17 grams per slice on the package. So you had tomato on, and it was sliced thinly. And that was also bought from the Spar. And it was 4 slices. Then they also had a Coke. It was a normal Coca-Cola. Was the brand. And they had a can, and that was a 300 milliliter can. Okay. So here we have nothing for the afternoon. So now you can also see that here at the supper time, so the chicken, what type of chicken was it? Was it a chicken thigh, for instance? So how was it cooked? So it was oven roasted. And no oil added. Okay. So throughout your quantification and estimating the portion size, the participant could tell you it was a medium, and it was one medium. So I think I wrote this on the wrong page. So yes, keep focused and write in the correct column as well. So yes, so the brand, say it was Chubby Chick. It's a brand here in Potch. And it was one medium. So see, you need to keep focused. All right. So the rice they had was white. It was just boiled. Nothing extra added. It was fantastic. See, now I need more space here. So let's just go to this. try to avoid what I'm doing now, but if you really have no other choice. So it was tastic, and they indicated it was one of the heaped serving spoons. Okay, so then they also had carrots. So what type of carrots was it? It was, you had margarine with that. Plus sugar. So you have to add your margarine and your sugar. And the carrots is also bought at the Spar, for instance. And so they also had one level serving spoon of that. Unfortunately, they did not prepare the food. They know there was margarine and sugar in, but they have no idea how much there was in. So everything together was one serving spoon there. Right. Then when we move on to the evening further, oh, no. So what I've also now missed here, sorry, is, remember I added I had beans. So the beans were made with onion and potato. So that is also bought from the Spar. It was fresh. It's not frozen. So you can add that it was fresh. So everything was bought from the Spar. All fresh. You see, you would like to have as much detail as possible to make sure that if you have to make an assumption, or an assumption has to be made by the coder, that there is enough information to do that. And then there was also one heaped serving spoon with that. Okay. Good. Unfortunately, the participant could not give you the ratio, as they didn't cook, they just ate it themselves, and they were not sure, how much of it they could eat. So what you can do here is you can ask if the person who prepared the food, if they are in the house, and then if you can at least get a ratio for the for this dish. Say if your beans was 1 and your onions was only 1/4 and your potatoes was the rest. So that the coder can then quantify what the ratio was. Okay, but as the field worker goes through and does the interview, at least the important part is to get this information right. Just again, we have our milk and our sugar. The tea was again rooibos. Again, the same cup, 250 ml. It was the little milk that was added, your Spar brand, and also then it was the 2 heaped teaspoons. I'm now with the sugar, sorry. 20 milliliters of milk. It was the low fat. Light sugar. Over. And then there is the 2 heaped teaspoons. And then the water that was drank was, you quantified it, and it was 300 milliliters. Okay. And then just a few final probes. You just go through the whole questionnaire, make sure that you have completed everything. You know, you didn't have anything extra. You sure at your breakfast, the mid-morning snack. Are you sure this is all you had for lunch? You sure you did not have any snacks in between? And then for supper, again, read through your list. And then, for instance, your participant realized, oh, but they had gravy with their rice, just normal gravy with their rice. And that you can then add, let's add that, you see, to have your space, you still have some space over here. So you add the gravy to the dinner. And that was I just made with chicken stock. There was no brand. And then they had a level serving spoon of gravy with that. Okay. And then you would ask them finally, was this a normal day, a usual intake? Yes. And then that is not applicable. If it is a no, then you just indicate, no, they were traveling, or, you know, it was a difficult day to eat. You were busier than usual. You're on a diet, or, you know, something, whatever the reason is that the participant gives you. And then also just remember to collect the information from the source as well. Sorry. So this column, your brown bread wasn't homemade. So that was also purchased from the supermarket. And then with your chicken as well. Carrots, also it wasn't made in the garden. So the beans, the potatoes, and the onions were also from the supermarket. And then just your final, this one was at home. These were all purchased at the supermarket. Okay, so you'll see, let's just correct this, as everything was also purchased at the supermarket. They consumed it at home, but it was purchased at the supermarket. Right. All right, and that is how you complete your 24-hour recall. So please make sure when you get to the face-to-face training that you understand your 24-hour recall, how it works, and you will have time to practice it. So thank you for listening, and you are more than welcome to move on to the next video, the fourth video, which will be on how to complete the QFFQ.